Hey everyone, welcome to the Jam Jar Junkies channel. Today, I will be helping you create a football themed jar. I found a couple of pictures of the Arizona Cardinals that I really like. You'll need to make 2 prints of your image. The reason we need 2 prints, because we're going to have to trace both of them in order to make the outlines around the Cardinals in black and then in white. You will need clear laminate to trace your images onto. This is clear contact paper I got at Walmart in the section with the kitchen contact papers for counters. You will want to measure out and cut off just enough material to use to trace your images. So put your contact paper down on top of your image and measure it out and cut it. As you can see, this is just enough to cover the image. It's a little hard to see the image through the contact paper, but it's easier in person. After you finish cutting your contact paper to the right size, you will want to trace your image. It has nice little squares for you to follow along to make sure that you're tracing your image out neatly. I will use just a few paper clips to hold my paper and my contact paper in place before I start copying it. If your paper still rolls up in the corners, you can place a couple of objects on the corners to help hold it down. Then you are ready to begin tracing your image. Once you are happy with the way you traced your figure, you can cut them out. You will only want to cut out along the outside of the image that you traced for now. After you have finished cutting out your images, you are ready to begin your painting. So you'll need to put your smaller image to the side. You do not need that right now. You'll start with your larger image. You'll want to find a jar that you like. You need to prep and clean it by soaking it in warm soapy water to remove any labels. Clean it with an alcohol pad and then rinse it with water. You are going to peel your image off of the paper and place it down on your jar as neatly as you can. After you've done that, we're going to paint the jar first, leaving the area that is covered by our image alone for now. Besides the Cardinals red color, I know that they also have a dark yellow as one of their colors. Now, if you're going to sell the jar or give it to a friend who's a fan, you're going to want to make sure that your colors are precise. To do that, you can go to their website and it tells you the exact colors that these are so that you can match the colors by going and finding the right color paint at Walmart, Home Depot's, Lowe's, one of your craft stores like Hobby Lobby or Michael's will have it. But for our purposes, I'm just demonstrating, so I'm not going to match colors precisely. I do not have any spray paint in that dark yellow color, so we're going to just use Golden Sunset that I've used before and the same orange flame and mix a little bit together to come up with a color combination that I think is close. We'll be painting it using a sponge brush. The reason why I chose a sponge brush is because it tends not to leave the same streaks on your glass like a regular paintbrush does. You'll need to prep your workstation with some paper or a cloth. You'll need your napkin and some clean water. And you need a plate for mixing your colors. We will use the same plate that we used before because our paint is dry. Make sure to put 2 to 3 coats of paint on your jar if you are painting by hand like I am. Some people do not paint the bottom. I do. It is a personal preference. Remember, it doesn't matter if you get paint over your image because we're going to peel the image off later. Give your jar about 5 hours to dry. Then you can remove your clear contact pattern, find an edge and start peeling it away very carefully so you do not pull up your paint. Your next part might be a little tricky. You're going to take your second pattern, your smaller pattern, line it up inside of your first pattern. You're not going to peel away your image just yet because we're going to have to use it again. So I would just recommend taking some tape and sticking your pattern down really good around all the sides so no paint seeps through. After you've lined your image with tape along all the sides, especially along the beak and the feathers sticking out of the back of the head, you're ready to tape it down in the middle of the pattern. Try to line it up as best you can. Once you have your pattern lined up, push it down really good in place. And then you'll need white paint to make a white rim around your pattern. For the stripe, I will be using this white paint pen, but I will be using a detail brush to brush it in so that I do not go over the lines. If you are not comfortable painting inside of the yellow line, you can always cover that up with some tape as well. When you're painting your white outline, you're going to want to paint it pretty thick, and make sure you go back in here with a second, maybe even a third coat of paint. Make sure that your contact paper pattern covers all the areas that you want to be red, the eye for the white, and the beak. The rest of it will be painted black, so it should not be covered at this point, and we'll get ready to paint our black. I will be using this black acrylic paint to paint the black outline. Remember, it doesn't matter if you get any black paint on top of your pattern because you're going to peel it off when the paint dries. Make sure you wait until the paint dries completely before you peel your pattern off. You may want to paint 2 layers of paint before removing your pattern. After your black has dried completely, you can go back in here and peel off your clear contact paper over the eyes, the nose, and the red part of the bird's head, and you can begin painting those areas. So when you finish painting your jar, you'll have a nice sports team themed jar. I think this is a perfect thing to give as a gift for Christmas or a birthday to a sports fan. They can set it out on display on a mantle or a table, especially if they're having a football party and friends are coming over. You can always add the tea light to it and give it that nice, soft, warm glow. And I think you guys are really going to like this idea. You can take a Kleenex box and remove the tissues very carefully and neatly from the box, and you can put them inside of your jar, and you can pull them up and use them just like you would if they were still inside of the box. And I think this is perfect if you have friends over who are not a fan of your team. That way, when their team is losing, you can provide them a tissue. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I think it turned out very well. Please let me know what you think. Leave comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.